Welcome this Sunday morning. I'm here today with my dear friend Nirdosh Kohra. And Nirdosh is a doctor for holistic healing medicine. He's a founder of body medicine. And we have already interviewed a while ago with Nirdosh about chronic pain. And today we'd like to talk about the way to come out of depression. We notice both as working with people that chronic pain and depression become an epidemic in our society. Very often many people suffers from mild depression or deep sadness and going to the doctor, being prescribed medications or antidepressants and then going on in life trying to come out of this vicious circle. So we're going to have a little conversation with Nirdosh. What is our understanding about depression, where depression comes from, and how we can, in holistic way, in natural way, without using any drugs or medication from all the side effects, to deal with depression. So if you could say a few words about your understanding about yourself in the subject of depression, and then also if you have any questions throughout the video, keep on asking. This is a live, so we'll be happy to respond any of your questions.
Thank you, Nisarga. Again, I really enjoy to share with you and also what you're doing also in your institute. So I'm very honored to have this interview. And yes, as you mentioned, from my experience throughout these years, depression is a worldwide spread epidemic that unfortunately conventional medicine still doesn't know properly how to it knows how to treat it, meaning just symptomatically, but not really to cure or to help people really to come out completely out of depression. So it's a topic that is very big right now, and I work with it a lot. In my practice I use conventional medicine, but also many alternative approaches, including nutrition, meditation, emotional work, and other alternative methods. But the basic thing is just to understand really what depression is, because nobody knows. Everybody knows the symptoms, but nobody knows really what causes it. Once we understand more the cause, it's easy to find solutions.
Yeah.
So there are many approaches, and some of them, which I share also in my body medicine courses, explain that there are a few triggers that suddenly can shift a person from being in their normal energy, normal harmonious emotional state, mentally and physically, into a state of depression, which means low energy, sadness, or basically seeing life as gray, a sense of apathy, and sometimes comes with also physical symptoms. It's very easy just to diagnose this as depression and take antidepressives, which basically what these are, it's chemicals that substitute the imbalance of neurotransmitters in the brain, dopamine and serotonin mainly, adjusting them. But it's basically like putting a bandage on top of a wound. The bandage doesn't cure it, it just keeps it kind of covered and protected and not really doing the healing process itself. So basically, in my experience throughout these years, I have found that one of the main causes of so-called depression is when a person has gone through a very strong situation in life. It doesn't really matter which kind of situation, but a situation that the person feels alone. Dealing with this very difficult situation can be a family matter, a survival matter, something in their living situation, a work relationship matter. But something that the person feels like it's quite threatening for them, and they go through this experience in isolation, meaning they don't feel they have support enough to go through the situation, and they need to deal with it on their own. Now, when a person goes through a situation like this for a long period of time, this puts their body in a very strong sympathetic activation. It's like a fight or flight survival mode. And this, if it goes for a long period of time, drains the brain, the body, and it drains the person mentally and emotionally. The person doesn't feel so much, or is not so aware of what's really happening, until the moment that situation changes or that situation is resolved. When that changes, the person literally drops into a deep parasympathetic state, which is also called the rest and digest mode, which is what happens normally when we go to sleep. But after the person has gone through a long period of this fight or flight state, then the person literally goes much, much lower into this rest, repair and digest state. And they feel exhausted, they feel drained, they feel very low in energy, in their mood and in their emotions. They feel really sad. So that's when a person feels sad, apparently for no reason. It seems like there's no reason for this, you know, but there is a very specific reason, and most people can really pinpoint this, which is sometimes even surprising that they see, well, now suddenly everything is good in my life, you know, this situation resolves, but I feel so low, so bad, so sad. And they cannot really understand, but it's a very specific mechanism that the body and the brain put the person into, that they need to go through this resting, healing and repairing mode. And it almost always comes with a deep feeling of sadness. Now, this is normal, and this usually lasts for a few weeks, this period. Unless something happens, which most people do this. It has to do with our conditioning in society. We do not really allow ourselves to mourn, to be in sadness. This is one of the most repressed feelings and emotions. It's not well seen in society. And therefore people avoid it, try to immediately pump up and be super high and super happy and functional immediately. So they don't allow their system to go through this healing phase, repairing, recovery mode. And when people do this, when they avoid their sadness, when they avoid their tears, when they avoid to just collapse for a little while.
The feelings.
The feelings. And also, when they avoid this, mainly they avoid it because they feel they cannot share this with anybody. So when they avoid this, their system cannot recover. It goes down automatically. It goes into this parasympathetic state, this drop, physically, emotionally, and mentally. But it doesn't go through. So the person stays in that state for a long period of time. And then eventually they go for help, and they eventually get a diagnosis of depression, which in a way could be easily avoided if the person really allows themselves to drop into this deep sadness, no energy state, allow it completely, even staying at home, crying, doing whatever it needs, and then come out of it. Physiologically, the person can come out of it. But one of the main things people need in this state is support. And the actual state of society today is that there's almost no connection and no support, no real emotional human support.
It's beautiful what you said, and you know what I'm also interested in this subject, making inquiry and research for my own, like meeting my clients who are diagnosed with depression, and I often ask them, okay, how you were diagnosed? So the usual story is, oh, I feel sadness, I go to a psychiatrist or a doctor, and I said I feel sad. And then the doctor prescribed antidepressants, explaining very shortly we need to balance your serotonin, as you said, or dopamine, the neurotransmitters that regulates our mood, our sexual drive, our digesting, and that's it. And so, of course, if we hear this kind of diagnosis, oh, I need to have regulated, you know, those hormones, of course, it makes sense, but there's no taking into consideration what is the cause, what you talk about, like what is the cause of my depression, what happened in the past, how I can go back to that event, maybe to some traumatic event, or maybe prolonged stress in my life where my adrenals are overactivated and comes into burnout that can be a result of depression and deep state of tiredness. So there is no switch to that. And I have been reading lately a very interesting book of Johann Hari, Lost Connection, and I'm very inspired by his research. He was taking antidepressants for all his 20s, for 10 years. And he came to conclusion that there was a lot of side effect on it. He gained weight, he started getting swing modes, he started taking more and more doses because they work in the beginning. Of course, his mode, his depression went away and he improved. But also what he was interesting in the book, that he started making research, and the research revealed that there was a group of people that got antidepressants and got placebo pill. And there was exactly the same results with placebo and antidepressants. Meaning that people who thought they take antidepressant, they got a sugar pill, but they believe they're getting better. And in a few months period, they improved. So that was the one thing that he revealed. The second thing that he revealed, he got into the files of pharmaceutical companies, that when they released the antidepressants, they only released 15% of the researched clients. They don't release all 100% of the researchers. But what was also interesting in the book, that he comes into conclusion what is the healing and what is the cause often, and that's the title of the book, Lost Connection. And lost very often of the values. People very often lose the major values in life, so often go into very superficial material values and losing the depth of our values, like, you know, spiritual growth, contribution, love, friendship, connection. And those values are really kind of lost the meaning in our society, and he proves how much being in communities, being intimate, being connected, and bringing those values up can tremendously impact our life.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I totally agree, because this loss of connection, no matter what triggered this imbalance in the life of that person, whatever a person goes through, whichever shocking situation, intense situation, life-threatening situation, we human beings are made to survive, the same as all animals and all plants on the planet. We are made, designed for millions of years to find a way to survive. And we are social beings. Human beings are social beings. So the main situations that can trigger this strong imbalance that cause depression have to do with the way we relate with others. And because of this situation that we live in the world, we're so isolated, and we value so much status, our popularity, our likes on Facebook, all these kind of things that we value so much now. This, our brain doesn't register. Our brain registers real connection, real physical connection, real emotional connection, real sharing, real support from somebody. So no matter what the person goes through, which can be very intense in their life, if the person, and this is proved scientifically through the 5 biological laws, if the person feels they have the support they need from 1, 2, 3 people, it doesn't matter if it's a friend, if it's a therapist, if it's a community, if they actually feel they have connection and support to go through the situation, their body does not create this imbalance and then is manifested as depression. They will have emotions, they will have fear, they will have probably anger in some moments, and sadness also, which is part of it, but they will go through it. They will not get stuck in this usually long periods of collapse, which is called depression. So connection, human connection, and also allowing our emotions is incredibly essential, and it's totally proved scientifically through many research studies that this is one of the main factors that causes these imbalances.
Beautiful. That's why I love also being here in Osho Afros community, which we now recording this live with Nirdosh. That's a place where we both coming for many years, contributing here,
and
working, being nourished
like
so much. When I come here after a period of working all over the world, working also with trauma, with body work, breath work. And there are times in my life that I feel deep sadness, and I feel also not the best. I feel tired, exhausted, but this is for me medicine. Like coming here to this beautiful Greek community, being with friends, connecting, being intimate, sharing. You know, it's something that deeply nourishes me and fills up my battery, fills up my happiness for a whole year. So it's a big resource for me to be here and spend this time with many friends. And there's also one short story that I would like to share with you that also inspires me in healing depression. And that is a very short story I heard last year also here. There was a Rumi festival and we had a night of poetry, and somebody wrote this story. And the story was coming from Gabrielle Roth, the founder of 5 Rhythms. You might have heard about her. And the story is about a very what do the shaman when somebody with depression comes to them in South American shamanism. So before they prescribe any medicine, they ask 4 questions to the person with depression. And the question is, when did you dance last time? When did you sing last time? When did you hear or say some poetry or story with your friends? And where did you sit in silence, meditate last time? These four questions are deeply and profoundly for me meaningful in healing depression. And that is about finding a way to celebrate life, finding a way to be creative, finding a way to meditate. And of course, it's easy to say for somebody like us now being, thriving and being happy and being in this beautiful community, to somebody who might be right now in this state of deep depression and sadness. And I know how it feels when the parasympathetic system is frozen and we feel like hopeless in dark hole. But that's why community is important, that people around us can help us and support and give us inspiration that we can come out into these four points, to celebrate, to be creative, and to meditate. Because when we isolate ourselves, when we sit with ourselves in this state of depression, it's very, very difficult to come out. We need that support from others, from the nature, from people around us to help us come up and thrive back into the deep core longing of each human being, which is living in full happiness, joy, and celebration, intimacy, love with others.
And this is one of the biggest gifts of this place, the meditation field that it is here. This is a meditation center that I don't know anywhere in the world, something like this, because we, as Nisarga said, we dance together, we celebrate together, we eat together. We are in an amazing place in nature, which nature has incredible healing properties by itself. Just like touching the trees and hearing the cicadas and feeling the fresh air. And something that is very rare, which it is coming up more and more in society, but here is so precious, is meditation. Because meditation is the only moment when we come down from here, down to where life actually is. Which life is in my body, life is in the present moment, life is in nature. And when we do this collectively, when we meditate together, all the stories and all those false values that we hook up into that can take us into a depression or any other symptomatic situation, they vanish. Because we come into here and now, and in the here and now, it's quite simple. Life is quite simple. And the more we practice this, the more we allow ourselves to just be in what is, all these big problems start vanishing, they start losing power. So meditation has incredibly healing properties for depression, for any other imbalance, either from let's say, psychiatric diagnosis or many other physical ailments, meditation is one of the most healing methods that we can have in our lives. So I feel really grateful to be here, really grateful to be able to experience it here and also to share it with friends.
Yeah.
It's really, really a gift.
Yeah, so it's a summertime. We invite you to stay in nature, come to communities around you, be with friends, be intimate with people, be creative and celebrate, dance, sing, meditate, create poetry, say poetry, or whatever else it is that you find yourself to express your gifts. We all have some gifts, so
and if you're struggling, if you're struggling at this moment with anything, you're a feeling of depression, or even not depression, something difficult in your life, find somebody who you trust, somebody that you feel can be next to you, with whom you can literally share from your heart, that you can allow your tears, that you can feel this person can be there for you. Because this is one of the best medicines there are. Really, human support, friendship. So I'm sure you have somebody, I'm sure there's somebody there for everybody. So see who is there for you and go for it, go for receiving the support.
Thank you. Thank you for watching us. Have a great Sunday and beginning of a whole week. Sending you much love from Osho Afros in Greece. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.